Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Kiki coming to you today with love, peace, and positivity, and sending it your way. So, I'm back, y'all. I'm back and I'm better. Want you bad as ever. Let me get back on focus. I'm just recovering from another type of cold allergy. I call it the kid cooties. My students, they love to come in and give me hugs, but then, when they're sick, they don't make it known. And then one student was telling me, well, sometimes our mama don't let us stay home when we're not feeling well. I'm like, well, damn, that's selfish, to send your child to school sick and then contaminate everybody else, including the teacher. And then what? Now we got to be behind because they got to deal with a sub, and then other kids got to get sick. So I just think that's kind of a selfish move, but, that's my opinion. If I can help it, I would not send my children to school sick. If I can, if it is in my control, I will make sure that they stay home and get rest and recover. So I believe the full moon is right around the corner, but that energy is on the loose because I had a very crazy week, and I don't know if I signed up. I don't know what I signed up for. It don't feel like I signed up to be a general ed teacher. It feels like I'm in some type of alternative program, but it's not an alternative program, but it just feels like that's what I'm dealing with. So earlier this week, I had to teach social studies. We're still talking about the transition Florida went through once the Europeans, the Spaniards, the French, and the British, when they came over and saw that, Florida and America was such a great place to settle. We're still, learning about that and how the Native Americans, Black Americans were affected by their visits. So, teaching that, explaining how wars took place, diseases, viruses, all that kind of stuff, right? So one of my students decided to bring in some kind of toy pen, and they just kept playing with it. And I was like, well, if you're going to use the pen to take notes, I'm good. I'm good with that. But if you're going to play with it and it's going to be a distraction, I need you to put it away. And so she pretended like she was going to take notes. So I kind of just ignored it, and I said, you know what? I'm only going to give her like 2 warnings because I'm not going to keep, stopping in the middle of my lesson, because it was like a loud clicking type of pen. And so I walked over eventually, walked around the room to kind of see who was actually taking notes. And I stopped by her desk, and she ain't taking no notes. So I went back and I sat down, and then I was like, okay, well, let's go over some of the information that I share. And I'm going to ask you, your input, ask the students their input. And so she started clicking on that pen again. And I was like, bring me that pen right now. I went from teacher mode to mama mode real quick because I just got annoyed. And so she just got an attitude, and she gets up and she has this aggressive growl on her face, and then she come and slam the pen down on my near my TV screen. And so eventually, okay, make sure I'm saying this right. A teacher, actually the deputy, came to my classroom to ask me a question. Trying to make sure I'm saying this in the right order. I don't know if it was the deputy or the school nurse. It was somebody who came to my classroom, and I stepped to the side of my door to find out what they wanted to ask me. And during the time they were asking me about a student in the classroom, the student that put the pen up by my TV screen started pushing another student's desk, like shoving it against the student's stomach. So all the other students was trying to get her to stop. So I'm trying to gesture, okay, cut it out. And then I'm trying to, answer the question at the door. And so the other students noticed it that was in that area, and they were trying to get her to stop. So they kept trying to fix the desk back to keep her from pushing the desk against the student's stomach, because no one was bothering her. She was just upset because I made her put a pen up. So it got to the point where she got angry with everybody over in the area and started trying to bite at their hand, like a dog would bite at a human that they don't know. Well, that's what she started to do. And so I was like, that is not acceptable. And I had to really stop in the middle of what I was doing with whoever, was at my door. And then she got angry and just walked out of my classroom. So then I had to go and contact the front office to let them know that, okay, we got a student that eloped. She's in her feelings. And she aggressively tried to bite somebody's hand because she was angry. And so eventually, so that's what it was. It was the nurse that came to my door. And then when I called about the elope, the deputy came to my door. And then he was like, well, let's check the bathrooms. And he wanted me to go in the restroom because he wasn't allowed to go in there. So I go in there and I see her feet all hiding behind the toilet. And I'm like, if you don't come out this bathroom right now, we're going to have a serious problem. That's what I had to do in the middle of teaching social studies. And so eventually she came out the restroom. The deputy went ahead and took her up to the front office. I was ordered to, write a referral. But she goes up to the principal and explains to the principal that the reason why she decided to bite at the student's hand, because, she had to shift the blame onto somebody else. That's what they do. She said, because I was teaching them about how the Native Americans had to use weapons or any type of aggressive behaviors by any means necessary to protect their land and keep their land and their families from being stolen and being misused and abused by the Europeans. So that's what she told the principal, that I told her that that's what the Europeans, that's what I said the Native Americans did. And that's why she decided to be like the Native Americans and fight back for her territory. I didn't know whether to get upset with her or laugh, but I already know something ain't wrapped too tight about the little girl because there's a record that followed her from the other school and it clearly states that she got something going on, but it's not diagnosed yet. But it's like, some days she can be such a sweetheart and maybe she might be dealing with personality disorders. I don't know. She'll give me hugs. She'll act normal and calm and respectful. And then other days she's gesturing like she's going to cut somebody's neck or she's going to flick a finger off or she's going to hurt somebody. Or it's like, these are personalities that come into my classroom when all I want to do is just educate. That's all I'm trying to do. Just educate, get the kids ready for the next level. I did not know I had to go from a teacher to a psychologist, basically a parent too, and then now a psychiatrist. I just didn't know. That was a part of my sign up. I just didn't know. So in case you parents out there don't really know what's going on, I'm here to snitch it. I'm snitching on them. I'm telling you what's going on because a lot of times when y'all ask your children, how was your day in school? They're going to say, oh, it was wonderful. And we did such great things. And we learned some very interesting things. But they really, really can't tell you a lot of things that they really learned because they was busy back there playing around. Another little episode that took place in my classroom. No. Before I skip over to the next episode, I'm going to just let you know. The principal was like, well, this is what you're teaching them. And I said to myself, okay, is she like having a problem because I'm telling them the truth about what really took place in the past? Because that's what it states in the book. They went into war. They lost land. The Native Americans lost lands. They had to use weapons like spears. They had to use different types of carved spearheads with poison on the end of it. They stated in the book. So I'm basically narrating or doing my commentary of what really took place. And seemed like the principal had a little funny feeling about that. I don't know. I'm just doing my job. So if the student is taking it out of context and want to use what she want to use, because I always tell my students at the end, after all the wars that took place, our job is to learn from their mistakes and not repeat those mistakes. Not to be, because I'm anti-war. I don't believe that you got to kill and hurt somebody just to make peace over something. I just don't. That's just my take on it. But anyway, so while my supervisor, my principal, looking at me sideways, I just took that with a grain of salt and kept it moving. I said, this is what you hired me to do. So it is what it is. But one thing I did not tell people to do is go bite people. Now, I ain't telling them that, but I did let them know that some Europeans had to resort to cannibalism because they ran out of food during the wars and the cold, chaotic, hectic weather. So if she wanted to have a taste of some skin and some meat, hey, that must be something she already got in there. Moving on to the next episode. So we had a special spirit week where the students got a chance to dress out. So I guess apparently when the school is telling the students, hey, you can dress out as a twin or you can dress up as, mixed match or whatever you want to do. I guess they list everything else. Like you can't wear ripped jeans. You can't wear stockings or jeggings or leggings. You can't wear words on your shirt with profanity. But they forgot to say you can't wear mini skirts. So I got a student that decided to squeeze on her baby sister's skirt. Now, this is a fourth grader. She looked like she at least about 4 feet, very petite, but looked like her little sister's skirt was at least maybe for a 4 or 5-year-old. So she squeezed on a very short mini skirt, right? And I guess apparently her mama didn't see what she had on. So the principal had her come to the office so she can get a change of clothes. So I guess somebody was able to get off from work and bring the girl some clothes. And so, because I guess everybody in the classroom knew what went on, because I didn't even really know what was going on until one of the students was like, when I took roll or attendance, they were saying, oh, well, Asia, she had to go to the front office because she had on the wrong type of skirt. So that's how I kind of found out about it, because nobody, they're poor at communicating with me about what's going on with my students. So I have to hear it from the grapevine. And half of the time it be true. That's a shame. It be true. A lot of the information be true. But so the girl managed to come back to my classroom, but I kept noticing another group of girls in the back of my classroom kept looking at her. And I don't know, it was just like, I felt the energy was a little off. And so, I didn't really make a big deal of it, but something told me something ain't right. Something ain't right. And so they all left my classroom, went on to the next block. So the following day, I take roll and I find out that all 5 of the girls been expelled. Well, not expelled, suspended. I'm like, oh snap. I'm taking roll, trying to figure out what happened. Come to find out, all the girls came into the bathroom, and it was a major fight that took place in the bathroom during PE. I didn't know nothing about it. Nobody didn't tell me nothing. And so basically how the fight started was the girl that wore her little sister's skirt to school, she went home and her mama went off on her, right? But during the time her mama was going off on her, another one of my students managed to sneak and record in her house what was going on. Like, I don't think she got, corporal punishment. I don't think she got a beating, but it's just the fact that she secretly recorded the girl getting yelled at by her mother. So I guess she took the recording and shared it with other people. And so I don't know if everybody was like, ooh, making a big deal about it. Apparently, I guess they did. And they got back to the girl that wore the little mini skirt. And so the main girl that recorded it, they agreed to meet in the bathroom. So they met in the bathroom. Now, the other girls that went into the bathroom, which was one of them that was complaining about somebody being bullying her on the bus, she went in the bathroom talking about, whoop that chick. Now, this is the same girl that was crying and upset because somebody was bullying her. The same girl that told me that her parents allowed her to watch Hustle and Flow. The same girl in the bathroom instigating a fight. So we got all of this craziness going on. Luckily, the girl, nothing dangerously happened to neither one of the girls, thankfully. But it's just like, it's like you got to go from, like I said, going from a teacher to a parent to a counselor to a psychiatrist. Now you got to become a darn detective to find out what's truly going on with these kids, because they can be plotting on something very dangerous and we never think anything of it. And apparently we can't put cameras in the bathroom because, of course, that's privacy. That's a law thing, and that's a whole different story. But something got to take place, because my daughter went through the same thing. She went to the restroom, and girls that was hating on her because another dude liked her instead of the other girls, they met my daughter in the bathroom and jumped on her and recorded it and bragged about it. And then they had to go through their consequence. But it's like, we got to come up with a better system for this bathroom situation, because, luckily, yes, everybody was a witness. A lot of people was a witness to see the girls go in the bathroom and meet up. But it's like, sometimes you just never know. Somebody may not come out that bathroom. Luckily these girls was able to walk out the bathroom. Luckily my daughter was able to come out the bathroom, but actually she came out the bathroom and had to go to the hospital. But the fact is, something may happen where all the girls may not come out the bathroom. So something got to be put in place better than that. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with these kids nowadays, but yeah, this is a whole nother level of behavior. And then towards the end of the day, we got this boy, I guess I call him DP, the same boy who swore up and down that he can pull any girl, anybody he want. He back there in the back of the classroom, aggravating the girl that he called himself Light. Now they are totally different. They're just totally different. She, like I said, she's almost taller than me, pretty much taller than me, and he's pretty much halfway near my shoulder. So it's a big difference. But he called himself trying to flirt with her. She looking at him like, dude, why don't you get out my face? And he's actually being persistent, trying to rub on her, trying to feel on her like, I don't see what's going on. And I told him he's going to get written up if he end up touching her the wrong way, especially being around me. I'm not going for it. So please, parents, talk to your children. If they are showing interest in sex, if they're showing interest in their hormones raging, please don't think, okay, you got to wait until they're 16 years old or wait until their period come on. They need to know early, because these girls are going through hormonal changes like in elementary school. And a lot of times it's like, I want to try to give them some encouraging words, but I don't want to overstep boundaries. So please talk to your kids about peer pressure, about the right and the wrong way to touch someone. about the birds and the bees, especially about making sure they use, some type of protection. Because I remember back in Tallahassee when I was working at it was a general ed school, but the class that they needed me in was more like a at-risk class. And one of the little girls, she was 13 and she was pregnant. But apparently she didn't know what she was doing, because half the time she be sleep in the class. She don't know how to, something going on with the little girl. I just say that. But she lost the baby because she said she locked herself out the house and she had no way else to no way to get inside of her house. So she decided to climb through the window and fell on her stomach. And so she ended up having a miscarriage. But see, this is sad because, it's sad that she got pregnant in the first place, because she still needed to develop and learn how to be a woman before she could even be a mother. And so a lot of times these kids, they get themselves into things because they lack knowledge. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the school should have things put in place about real life events, not just talking about wars, not just learning how to count money, but knowing that, okay, and I guess they would consider sex education as a curriculum to cover that, but no, they need to revamp it. There's some things that these kids are doing now that they have access to social media. They can talk and chat to anybody online. They have these high-tech cell phones that got really good picture footages of pornography and all this kind of stuff. And these kids are it's like they're developing at a fast rate, but mentally still immature. And so it's important that we instill the right guidance in them, because then we'll have a whole lot of grandmas walk around here that's 30 years old. And so in order to keep a balance in our society, we just got to make sure that don't just depend on the school and the teachers to educate, because I'm limited to certain things that I can say. And so if you educate your children, we work together as a team. I educate them on what they need to do to get through the system, and you educate them on how to stay out of trouble, while they're going through the system. Then maybe they might have a better, decent chance at life. But with that being said, y'all, this is my update of elementary news and the craziness that take place. Other than that, I will be in touch. Hopefully soon we'll talk a little bit more about education, kind of update you on some changes that's taking place in my life. And yeah, y'all stay tuned. Peace out.